Welcome back my weebs and otakus, it's Otakunofuji with another sorta lewd game video. Today we're talking about Disorder, a roguelite action game starring a ridiculously hot woman. It's on Xbox and PlayStation and Steam and is kinda good, sorta, maybe. It's one of those games that totally sucks the first time you play it, but you keep plugging away because it's a roguelite, so you keep making progress little by little until by the end you think maybe it doesn't suck actually. I'm conflicted on it, to be honest. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel if you like this or any of our other content. It really does help if you do. Disorder is a game about a woman with severe trauma dealing with all sorts of mental issues, I guess. She was somehow the lone survivor of an explosion at a department store when she was a child, and she was taken in by an evil organization to do shady research on her mysterious special abilities. I think? The story seems like it went back and forth through a Korean to English translator a dozen times, because the dialogue is a total mess, and it's hard to tell what's supposed to be going on. The voices seem to be AI too, just based on the totally wrong tone used in basically every scene. There's definitely some AI usage for some signs and background stuff, which I don't necessarily care that much about, but it's hard not to call it out when it's so obvious. Anyway, the idea behind the game is your ridiculously hot girl returns to the department store for some reason, which is now full of monsters for some reason, and she has to get down from the rooftop on the 9th floor all the way to the ground floor. Each floor is split into several zones, and by killing all of the enemies in a zone you can select a new skill or item or upgrade. Each floor also has a boss, of course, and when you beat the boss you can go to the next floor. After each run you can spend your various collected currencies on permanent upgrades that make the next runs easier. And each run will be slightly different based on what random upgrades and skills you get. That's all pretty basic roguelite stuff. The gameplay itself is pretty darn janky though. It doesn't really feel good to play. Your basic melee attacks have a relatively short range and don't do much, so you really rely almost entirely on your various skills to do any actual damage. You have 5 different skills, which are all big, fleshy, high damage attacks. So investing in skill cooldown and damage upgrades are the main keys to success here. Depending on what upgrades you get over the course of a run, you do get pretty darn powerful. You can tank enemy hits like a boss, have lots of healing potions and revives if you die, and do tons of damage. Like I said before, the first time you play the game you'll think it sucks. It doesn't feel good and it's really hard and nothing makes sense. But when you get some decent upgrades going and learn what the game actually wants from you, it can get pretty addictive. I got all of the achievements in about 10-ish hours, so I'd say I liked it well enough. Just some additional notes. For the most part, the game isn't actually all that hard once you figure out what you're doing and how to deal with stuff. Most of the bosses are actually pretty easy. But the 5th floor and final bosses are both totally horrible. They both constantly spam room-filling area attacks you can't really avoid, and they just generally don't really fit in with how the rest of the game works. And this is maybe spoilery, but you actually play through most of the levels twice, and you do have to fight the 5th and last bosses a second time, which is just a total nightmare. Things in the levels change on the second run in some interesting ways, and it's a pretty neat gimmick all in all. The story they're telling is probably really cool and deep, but the dialogue is horrible and the cutscenes are putrid, so who knows what the heck's actually going on. Oh, and about the hot girl. Holy crap. I mean, she's the main reason why I wanted to play the game in the first place, and it doesn't disappoint from that perspective. Every single cutscene starts with a shot of her butt, and then swings around to her boobs, which are just hanging out there because her otherwise skin-tight catsuit is zipped way down at the front. You won't notice during gameplay, but if you're a degen like me and walk her into a wall and turn the camera around, there's definitely some nice jiggle going on. She's by far the most polished aspect of the whole game, and it definitely seems like they designed her character first and then had to make some sort of game around her. The game looks pretty good overall. The girl looks great and the environments are nice looking as well for the most part. It runs kind of badly though, and certain boss fights make it slow down to an absolute crawl. There are graphical options available on Xbox, and I'd suggest using the middle settings, which seem to try to hit 60 frames per second most of the time. The sound is okay other than the awful voice acting, but the music is oftentimes pretty awesome. All in all, Disorder is a weird game that is kinda not good, but also addictive and fun enough that you'll still find yourself grinding through it to get all the achievements. Interestingly, this isn't one of those roguelites you'll want to play through over and over and over again. Once you beat the real final boss and pop the last achievement, you'll definitely be done with it. It took me around 10-ish hours to fully complete it, and the $30 asking price, that's probably pretty okay. Though I bought it on sale for $24, which feels a little closer to what it probably should be. So in the end, Disorder is janky and clunky and has some truly terrible parts in it, but it's also weirdly satisfying because you always feel like you're making progress and it can definitely hook you. If you're into roguelites and 3D action games and are in the mood to stare at a hot girl's ass for 10 hours, Disorder is worth a look when it's on sale. Thanks a lot for watching. Please like and subscribe and check out Otakunofuji.com.